I'll kick things off here because Bruno definitely suggested that I go on a little bit of a rant about this, and I will. And
Mhm.
that is this specifically, that I don't think this is going to be a controversial opinion. As I've aged as a gamer, my gaming time, especially as a dad, has gone down, down, down significantly. And I am simply amazed that in 2023 there are still games coming out that are trying to not only replicate the Fortnite live service model, but to take it to an extreme and make you play two, three times the amount that Fortnite would need you to in order to complete the battle pass to complete their battle pass. I'm looking at games coming out or at least changing their business models like Overwatch 2. I've had a ton of fun over the last couple weeks hopping back into Overwatch 2. They finally got a chance to balance it out. I think a lot of the current controversy behind the game has died down, and it's still Overwatch at the end of the day. No one else has really gotten that team-based MOBA first-person shooter hybrid quite like Overwatch has. But I gotta tell you, I'm done with the live service games, and there's just zero chance right now in 2023 that a new live service game is going to come out that I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going all in on that game. Because doing so, it just takes away from so much of your gaming time. And
Mhm.
Overwatch 2 is really guilty of this too. And I'm just amazed that they think that that is a successful business model. I watch as all of these items that used to be at least somewhat attainable through seasonal loot boxes, or you could save up your credits and get them whenever the event would come around. And now they're charging $20 for that single skin. And I'm just thinking, like, man, I would have never paid those prices today. Whereas, back then I felt a little bit of incentive to actually go for it. But I mean, it's just a little rant. It's not a huge one. I'm definitely, and we talked about this in our own ways, all three of us, about kind of our changes and tastes in gaming, and I think it's going to be one that, especially if you follow this podcast, it's going to be interesting to follow because we're hitting that mode, I think, Bruno, right, where we're starting to reassess how our gaming time is best spent, right?
Definitely. I'm looking at a lot of the things that I grew up playing and the things that I moved into in my high school and college years and how that's changed and why it's changed. And definitely, I think that, for me, I really love competing in things and always have. And as I get older, it just gets a little bit more stressful because of the nature of these live service games, right? Where it's constantly changing. And I've touted that if that's the only game you're playing, like, is a live service game, in terms of a shooter out there, Fortnite's it. It is 100% it. It is the best live service game out there. No questions asked. I mean, take whatever you want to, you're not going to convince me otherwise. There's a million and a half reasons why you're wrong if you don't think that's the case. And there's a million reasons why Fortnite is so successful. However, you mentioned it's exhausting to keep up with. The game changes so often that if you take a month off, there are going to be so many new things introduced in the game that it's going to be a little hard for you to adjust to. There's always an adjustment period with every season that comes. And I know Brad knows as well as I do, every time we've played, towards the beginning and the ends of the season, it's super sweaty. We can barely get any challenges done because people are hunting us down, and it sucks the fun right out of it, especially for the dads out there who only have a little bit of time to game and don't want to sit there and get pooped on, the entire match, right? Because sometimes you'll come away from that night and you'll be like, man, I just spent the last 2 hours trying to make something work that didn't end up working. And now that game time that I spent, which was supposed to be relaxing, is now really kind of made me upset and more so disappointed in the time that I've spent, pursuing a win. Right. Whereas if I get to play something like a single player game or something that's at my own pace, whether it's co op or whatever, if I'm just racing around, then I'm much more likely to have a good experience and want to jump on that at every possible, step of the way. And you're right, live service games are a big hindrance for people, especially even for someone like myself who likes sim racing. One of the premier racing leagues out there is iRacing, but iRacing comes with a subscription based model, essentially, that you have to pay if you want to play. And that's not something that I'm really ready to get into at this point, because I have other free options like Assetto Corsa or Forza or whatever,
Yeah.
that don't require that monthly spend to play. And I think back at like games like World of Warcraft, right? Where they've had their own subscription model for the game outside of just buying it. So not only did you have to buy it, but to play online, you have to pay that subscription fee as well. It's a make or break for a lot of people, but I know that, that community, like Brad mentioned, is something that's hard to match elsewhere, right, Brad?
No, I mean, I maybe to play devil's advocate with you guys here. I mean, I totally get where you're coming from on live service games, but I feel like you just said like live service games are where communities are at and where you play with friends and people. If you're looking for a solo experience, yeah, go play one of your games. But I feel like for some people, like myself, I find more entertainment in gaming when I play with friends. Right? I'm less likely now as an adult to pick up a solo campaign game and invest a lot of time because it's just time to like no, I can't share that success or that journey in with as easy as a live service game when we're winning and playing together as a team, whether it's in Overwatch or in Fortnite in duos or squads, where we're completing challenges and winning a match together. And so I think, and you're unlocking skins or emotes, or you know what I mean. You're part of the chapter events. Like there's things you remember about doing that together as a group, and that's where our community started playing Halo together versus playing things just by yourself. So I think live service games for me bring a community aspect to gaming that solo campaign games don't, or in a different way.
Well said. And man, Bruno, you went on a longer rant than I did. He
Come
took
on,
my
did
topic
we
and ran with it. I love it.
was that not a surprise?
I should never be surprised by that. The man's got a lot to say.
Quit the Bill.